I'll spotlight my video. Now you can see moi. And then I'm just going to pop you guys on mute. Like always, just give me a shout if anything goes wrong or you need me. You just have to unmute yourselves. Cool. Okay. So we are going to be working on a mix of strengthening and stretching the hamstring. So just a bit of anatomy review. Your hamstring starts just about the butt, ends just below the knee. A lot of people feel the intensity of the hamstring around the knee. Some people will feel it all the way down into the calf and the heel. Your hamstring actually doesn't go the full length of the leg, but fascia, all the muscles, everything's connected. So you're going to feel it everywhere. Remember that there's that connection between the muscles. So when we engage our quad, which means that we're kicking into our heel, this is going to strengthen this muscle, contract it, shorten it, and therefore this lengthens the hamstring. Okay, so just remember those two things. Come on to lie down. Bring your hands by your sides, legs out in front of you. A little mini Shavasana before we start. So just bringing the eyes to close. Maybe taking a couple of nice big exhales out of the mouth. Just really starting to feel the physical body connecting to the present moment. So what can you feel on the parts of the body that are connected to the floor or to your mat? What temperature is the air? Sorry, I'm just going to get rid of headset. He's doing zoomies right beside my laptop. Come on. No, go. You just feel the belly and the chest rising and falling. Just letting go of anything that's happened so far in your day. And also not tethering yourself to anything that you need to do the rest of the day. Any responsibilities, tasks, jobs. So unhooking yourself from the past and tethering yourself to the future, and just allowing yourself to drop into the present moment. Tuning into your senses. Tuning into your breath. Remembering that all of these stretches that we come into, this is sensation over destination. We're learning how to listen to our body, learning how to connect the mind and the body. And we're learning how to change the alignment of our body, engage muscles to feel into a stretch more, to know when something feels uncomfortable, and to learn how to adapt it and change it ourselves. We're empowering ourselves in our own bodies. Just start to wiggle in the fingers and the toes, just waking up those limbs. And then bending those knees, placing the feet onto the floor. And just grab a hold of your right knee, squeeze it in towards the chest, point and flex the foot. Roll the ankle a couple of times one way, and then the other way. Just waking up that leg, and then placing that right foot down, lifting that left knee. And again, just pointing and flexing that foot. Rolling the ankle a few times one way, and then a few times the other way. Don't worry if there's kind of cracks or crunching. Just getting those joints lubricated. Nice, and then bring your left foot back onto the floor. Grab a hold of your strap. So we're going to be doing our laying down hamstring stretches to start. This is not a torture chamber. This is not a painful situation. So straighten your right leg up to the sky. Try to have your arms straight and let the leg come about 45 degrees in front of you so that you can straighten that leg easily, okay? So that there's no tension yet. And then think about engaging the quad. What do I need to do to engage my quad? I need to flex my foot. This is going to help to fire up that quad. So I'm going to kick my heel up to the sky and I'm going to dial my toes down. So arms straight so we're not killing our biceps, kicking into the heel, take an inhale. And as you exhale, just see if you can guide the leg a little bit more. Now, don't be surprised if you're here, okay? So if you have tight hamstrings, the leg might be here. Don't bend the knee to try to get it further. Sensation over destination. Find that point where you can easily straighten the leg, kick into the heel, and then start to find that stretch. So I want you to stop looking at the screen, look straight up so your neck is nice and smooth. And this is where we're just going to learn. We're going to listen. The inhale is where you kind of want to just focus and breathe. And the exhale is where you see if you can take it a little bit further. Now, once you come to a point where you're like, I literally couldn't go any further, the hamstring would snap like an elastic band, this is where you stay. And a couple of things to let you know if you've gone too far. One, you can't breathe properly. If you are not breathing, your body thinks that you're in a state of panic, a state of trauma. Your muscles are never going to loosen. So if you can't breathe, you're not doing yoga and you're not stretching. So if that is you, let the stretch lessen and find your deep breath. Another thing, if you're contorting the muscles of the face, if you're literally wincing, we don't want to be wincing. We don't want to be contorting our face. You want to be able to relax into the stretches. Watch out that your toe isn't starting to go up to the sky. That's your hamstring saying, oh, this is too much. So only go as far as you can with the heel kicking up to the sky, the toe dialing down to the face. And then you just breathe into the stretch. So I love, love, love these stretches because they actually are quite passive for the rest of the body. You get to lay down, that's always nice. If the arms are straight, then the biceps and the shoulders aren't killing themselves. So if you're right now like heaving the arms, just simply walk the hands up the strap and let the stack of the bones and gravity do the work. It shouldn't be killing your arms in any capacity. Nice. And then from here, take the strap into your right hand. Take your left hand onto your left hip, and you're going to keep pressing down to not let your left butt cheek lift. And you're going to start to drop that leg out to the side. Now your leg might be quite far forwards, that's totally fine. Come to a point where your left butt cheek and your left hip aren't lifting. So for me, my leg is never on the ground. Then once you're there, kick into the heel, okay? Point the toes towards the face. Then if you can, you're going to start to pull the toes towards the ear. That might not happen. You might be like in extreme stretch just where you are. Again, look up to the ceiling rather than looking at the screen so your neck is smooth. And just breathe here. If you're not breathing properly, let the leg lengthen a little bit more down. Soften the face like melting butter. Good. Stay where you are. I want you to use your adductor muscles, so the inner thigh, to bring the leg back. So don't pull on the strap. Instead, use the leg muscles to bring that leg back to center. You're then going to take the strap into your left hand. Again, you can see how straight my arm is. Okay, so I'm reaching as kind of high on the strap as I can. Kicking into the heel, dialing the heel up to the sky. Again, you might be here. That's totally fine. And then you're going to release your right arm out to the side. And I would try to straighten your left leg. From here, you're going to start to lift your right butt cheek and you're going to pull that leg out to the side. I'm just going to show you from the other side so you can see what I'm doing. So you're going to pull that leg over. Okay, I don't come anywhere near the floor. Keep your right shoulder pressing down. So if your whole shoulder's lifting off the mat now, bring that shoulder down and just see where the leg goes. Now again, you might have your leg somewhere down here. Kick into the heel, dial the toes towards the face, make sure you're breathing, soften the muscles. Then perhaps you can start to pull that toe towards your left ear. Okay. I have people in classes who this is their stretch. I also have people in classes who are like holding onto their leg and their leg is right beside their face. Our hips, our hamstrings, they are very individual, very unique. Good. Again, use the muscles of the legs rather than the rope, rather than the strap. Bring that leg back up to the sky. And we're just going to do 5 more breaths in that hamstring stretch. So strapping both hands, pulling that leg. It's your right leg still. I'll just switch back. Just looking to the screen for reference. And once you understand what's happening, then look away from the screen. This helps you connect to your own body and what's going on. Good. From here, keep the right foot where it is. Send the left leg up. Place the left foot into the strap. And then bend your right knee, taking it onto the floor. You're most likely going to need to lengthen the strap. So kick into the heel, toes dial down to the face. You're engaging that quad. Then every exhale, little by little, rather than just kind of heaving that leg as much as you can. Always a point of interest, noticing which leg is tighter. This I really feel in the sole of my foot as well, especially in the arch of my foot. The more that I kick into the heel, the more I feel it. And this is just that fascia, that connected web that is feeling into that entire stretch. So just take 5 more breaths here. Every exhale, trying to get that leg further, keeping the toes dialing down, not losing the integrity of the stretch to get that leg further. This is ego often gets in the way, and we want to keep the ego aside to keep the alignment. Nice. And then moving the strap into the left hand. Right hand is going to come down onto that hip to keep the hip down. And then start to guide that leg out. Now again, your foot might be quite far forwards, quite far down. Go as far as you can without lifting that right butt cheek off the floor. You want to keep the pelvis down. So we're going into external rotation of the hip. Then once you're there, start to pull the toes if you can. It might be simply for you trying to come into that flexion of the foot. So trying to kick into the heel, toes to the face. Again, you don't need to really look at the screen at all right now. So straighten the neck, breathe through it. Good. Can you use just the leg muscles to bring the leg back up? And then you're going to straighten your right leg as you grab the strap in your right hand. Left hand goes out to the side. And then start to allow that left leg to drop out. Again, your leg might be down here. That's totally fine. Kick into the heel. And then maybe start to ease the toe up. This time, imagining that the toe is going towards that right ear. Might be nowhere near it. Now this is also a deep twist, okay? So you could be feeling this in the left shoulder, the left pec. You could be feeling this along the spine. So to make the spinal twist less intense, bring the leg higher, okay? So the more that the leg is kind of going parallel to the floor or close to the floor, the more of a spinal twist you're coming into. This is a really good stretch because you're kind of working into some massively key muscles, your hamstring, your glutes. your spine, your shoulders, your chest. It's a variation of a supine twist. If you could do one of a pose, just one pose every day, I would definitely recommend the supine. Good. Using that leg muscle, bring it back up to the sky, straighten those arms. Come back into that stretch, kicking into the heel, dialing the toes down, looking back up to the ceiling, and just taking 5 breaths here. Nice, and then just gently start to bend that left knee, move the strap to the side, place that right foot on the floor, and just do a couple of windshield wipes. So just a little sway from side to side in those hips. Good. Nice, so we're gonna come into tabletop. So either rolling to the side and bringing yourself over, or if you wanna take the rock and roll, just going up and down the spine until you bring yourself up and come into tabletop. So every time you come into tabletop, you wanna be thinking back, casting the mind back to week 1. Spreading those fingers wide, knees hip distance apart, pushing into the floor. Externally rotating those biceps, widening across the collarbones and pulling the forearms in. Looking down as grow the crown of the head forwards and you shoot the tailbone back. Nice, let's come through some cat-cow. So let your belly drop. Your sit bones will rise, your chest will glide forwards. And then as you exhale, you push into the mat, you draw the belly in, you dial the tailbone down, crown of the head down. Inhale, come all the way back through. Sit bones rise, gazing up, chest forwards. Exhale, push the mat away, draw the belly in, rounding and arcing the spine. Just carry on moving like this, using the breath. Cat-cow should be feeling really confident, really comfortable. Nice. Good, okay, so looking at me, we're gonna do some hamstring strengthening now, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the block behind your knee, you're gonna squeeze that block, and then we're gonna pulse. Okay, so this is all we're gonna do, and this is gonna strengthen your hamstring. So grab your block, it might be a bit fidgety. Take it behind your, let's just do left knee to start. I know that's a bit weird, but just do left knee so you can see what I'm doing. And then you're gonna squeeze, okay? So this squeezing action is the hamstring, okay? The hamstring is strengthening to hold that block. Then from here, just lift the knee slightly off the mat. And then all I want you to do is you're gonna pulse, you're gonna squeeze that block, okay? Like you're trying to flatten the block. So let's pulse for 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, breathe, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop the knee, you're gonna switch the block to the other leg. So this time going behind that right knee. Squeezing that block, you might get a cramp. If you do, just punch out the cramp. Lift the knee, and then we just start to pulse. So little squeezes here, okay? So 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, bring that knee back down, move the block, and just sit back through the butt. Wiggle the butt, trying to ease out any cramping that you might have. So we can have two problems. We can have very tight hamstrings, and we can have very weak hamstrings. Okay, so one more little bit of strengthening here. Take that block behind your left knee, hands directly under the shoulders, then lift that knee up. Good. From here, we're just gonna pulse up and down with the knee. So you're keeping an even squeeze on that block, But you're now using the glute. Now what I don't want you to do is open the hip out to the side. Okay, so keep that hip square. And this is using glute max, this big butt cheek on the back. And you're also keeping that hamstring engaged. So let's go for 10. Not lifting that hip. 8, 7, 6, 5. Take the gaze down, don't look at the screen. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring that knee down. Again, if you've got any cramps, just sit back, wiggle the hips, whatever you need to do. And then you take the block behind your right knee. Hands directly under the shoulders. Lift the knee. It doesn't really matter how high the knee is, okay? So don't stress about how high the knee is here. Then we just start to take those pulses. Okay, nice smooth action. Doesn't have to be fast. Doesn't have to be very high. Just keep the squeeze of that block for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. Bring that knee back down. Maybe taking some sits in the bum. Maybe wiggling out the hips. So whatever you need here to release that tension. Good. And then bring the hands back under the shoulders. And we're going to come up into our downward dog. So tuck the toes. Start to draw the belly button in. Push into the hands and send the butt high. Bend your knees. So both knees are bent. Push the belly towards the thighs. So you're trying to get your booty as high to the sky as you can. Then just send the left heel towards the floor. Nice deep bend in that right knee. Sending that left heel down. The gaze is soft, the head is down. You don't need to look at the screen. And then rebend the left knee, send that right heel down. Breathe here. Nice and deep. Good, and then pedal through both feet. So just sending one heel down and then the other. This is a really nice way to warm up into the hamstrings. Good, and then just gently start to walk the feet and the hands towards each other, and you're going to come into a ragdoll. So the belly might rest on the thighs. Grab hold of opposite elbows, or just let the hands rest on the floor. Let your head be heavy. No engagement in the neck whatsoever. Just totally release. And just take a few breaths here. And then begin to rise up. So taking your time, maybe walking the hands up the legs or rolling vertebrae by vertebrae. And coming up to stand. Good. So you're going to need your blocks. So take your blocks in front of you. And we're going to do some standing hamstring stretches. Good. So step your right foot, like just behind the blocks in the center. Bring your hands onto the blocks and then step back with your left foot. Make sure that the feet aren't directly behind each other as if you were on a tightrope. Instead, like railway tracks. Now high on the ball of the back foot, you're going to start to straighten your right leg. Press into the right foot like you're pressing into the gas pedal. Try to get the blocks under the shoulders. Don't think about diving over the leg. Think about first just straightening the spine. Okay, this might be where you are. Now with this spine straight, I want you to pull your right hip back, left hip forwards. Remember what we learned about the hips and the butt? So when the heel is stable, when we pull the butt cheek back, we're lengthening the hamstring. Now from here, if you can keep the hips like this, you might start to bow over that front leg. It might be a very small amount. You might be able to bow more. If you're more flexible in the hamstrings, the hands might come flatter on the blocks or all the way onto the floor. Let the neck be heavy. So not looking at the screen at all here. I am not even doing the pose anymore. You're high on the ball of the back foot. you're pressing into a gas pedal with the front leg. You're pulling your right hip back, left hip forwards. You either have a straight spine looking forwards, or you're starting to let the body melt over that right thigh. Now I want you to take 5 deep breaths. Inhale, you might lift out of the stretch just a little bit. And as you exhale, see if you can release a little bit more into it. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Good. From here, bending in that front knee and rising back up. So we're going to turn into a wide-legged standing forward fold. So you're going to turn your toes to the side of the mat now. I've got my blocks with me because I'm going to use them. And so if I would suggest taking them just to start. So take the blocks into the hands. Remember what I said about the feet. So my feet are slightly, I guess they're almost right in line with my wrists. Okay, so almost directly below my wrist, not my fingertips. And then you want to turn the toes in. Okay, this is called pigeon toe. This helps us with an anterior tilt of the pelvis. So I'm going to start to drop the blocks down like plumb lines from my shoulders. Now what you're probably noticing is that you're dumping your weight into the heels of the feet. I want you to take that weight forwards into the balls of the feet, lengthen the spine, and then perhaps from here, starting to bow forwards. Now, if you think your hands can reach the floor quite easily, take the hands down. That might give you a deeper stretch. You might flatten your blocks. So if you're like, oh, that's too intense with my hands just flat on the floor, take them onto the blocks. So from here, it's little adjustments, okay? Taking that weight into the balls of the feet, letting the head be heavy. Engage the quads. If you want to feel like you're pushing the front of your thigh into your hamstrings. You're like, pow, pushing it back. And again, just take 5 deep breaths. Big inhale. Nice deep exhale. 4 more like that. Every time you exhale, just trying to convince those hamstrings that it's good what you're doing. Good. And then from here, the best way to come out of this pose is to push into the blocks, lengthen your spine, then bend the knees, turn the toes slightly out to the side so your tailbone starts to dial down, and then start to lift up. So your glutes are helping you to rise. Okay, and that shouldn't feel like such a pull on the lower back. Good. Blocks are in my hands. Take them with you. Let's actually pivot. So you might be turning away from the camera, and this is going to be a good thing. So turn your left foot to face forwards and come onto the ball of your right foot. So you might be facing backwards. Just go for it, guys. If you're like, I can't look away from the screen, then just switch your legs. Blocks come down. So the left foot is forwards now. You're on the ball of the back foot. Make sure the feet aren't directly behind each other. It'll be way too much for balance. Now, once the hands are on the blocks, push, 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 push into that left foot, straightening your right leg. Not your right leg, your left leg. Pull the left hip back, right hip forward. So you're not bowing over the leg yet. You have a nice straight spine. Notice how this feels. And on your exhale, you maybe start to bow. Again, I'm not doing the pose, so let your neck be soft. Looking down towards the shin. This is where we listen. This is where we make those little micro adjustments. Okay, can I pull my left hip back a little bit more? Can I push the big toe down of my left foot a little bit more? Can I come higher on the ball of my back foot? Can I push into the ball of my back foot to pull my right hip forwards? Can I grow through the crown of my head, trying to lengthen my spine as much as I possibly can? Can I deepen my exhales? Good. Okay, look forwards, bend that knee. You're going to start to rise up, take your blocks with you straight into standing forward fold. So toes in. I'm going to give you an option this time. If you use the blocks and you are like, there's no way my hands are coming onto the floor, just come into that same one, hands on the blocks. If you're more open in the hamstrings, you can play around with grabbing the big toes. Elbows come wide, head comes down. If you're looking at me right now thinking that looks impossible, don't do it. Stay with those blocks, okay? The alignment cues are the exact same. So you're taking the weight into the balls of the feet. The toes are dialed in. You're straightening the legs. You're pushing the quadriceps back into the hamstrings. And then you're hinging at the hips. So less about rounding the spine here, but more like as if your spine was a plank. From the tailbone to the crown of the head, you were attached to a plank. And the only place that you can hinge or move is from those hips. So the tailbone's trying to dial up to the sky as the head dials down. Good. Come back to the breath. Big inhale. Nice, slow exhale. Big inhale. Nice, slow exhale. From here, push into the blocks or the floor, lengthen the spine. Start to turn the toes out slightly, bend the knees, press into the heels, squeeze your butt cheeks, and rise up. Squeeze those butt cheeks. Good, nice. Alrighty, from here, we're gonna come back onto our bums. So get yourself on the floor. Now, we're gonna be doing those seated stretches. So if you needed to sit on a block last time, get your block set up, okay, block or two. So we're gonna start with that Dandasana. So legs out in front of you. I'm actually gonna go on a bit of an angle so you can see more of my legs. Yeah, that'll be better. So when we don't engage the leg muscles, our legs go into automatic external rotation. So zip that zipper, squeeze the thighs together, and we want to engage the quads. So what do we need to do with the feet? We need to pull the toes in. Look at that pinky toe. If the pinky toe is running away from you, pull the pinky toe in. So Dandasana, hands by the sides. If you're sitting on a block, you'll probably have fingertips on the floor rather than the palms. Now pull the pubic bone in, pull the navel in, lengthen the sternum up and tuck the chin. So it's not the most glamorous of poses. Now you're not rounding the chin all the way down. You're growing the crown of the head up, but you're slightly tucking the chin. Again, heels might lift, they might not, depending on that mobility. Just breathing here. Good. From here, legs, core, stay the exact same. We're going to move into Paschimottanasana. Two options, guys. Just slide the hands onto the thighs, squeeze the hips and start to come forwards. Or if you enjoy using the strap, grab your strap, take it onto the feet, arms, come out to the side, soft fingers, and you start to hinge, okay? What we need to watch out for here is that we're not like chicken necking forwards, okay? So you're not jutting the chin forwards, keeping that Jalahara Bandha, so that slight tuck of the chin. Doesn't matter if you're using the strap or not, the stretch is the exact same, okay? Arms are not killing themselves coming forwards, elbows aren't by the sides. So hands are either on the thighs sliding forwards. You can see my spine, okay? My spine is totally straight versus this. This is not what we want. So whether you're holding onto the legs of the strap, I want you to look at your toes. Is the pinky toe running away? If so, pull it in. Pull the toes in, kick into the heel. You are gonna feel this light up the stretch. If I'm very, very strict with my feet, I can barely come forwards, but it's sensation over destination. We're trying really to use our yoga practice to aid in the rest of our life, help us move with more ease, help us have more mobility, keep our body functioning longer. and better. We're not really trying to achieve these epic looking poses. And if you are, that's fine. But know that this sensation is going to give you longer hamstrings. Nice. Slowly start to rise back up. From here, left leg stays put. We bend that right knee. Again, I'll turn on an angle so you can see what I'm doing. Right foot comes in to the left thigh. Okay, if you have tight hips, prop that knee with a block. Turn the torso to face the left foot, flex the left foot. Hands on the thigh or set yourself up with that strap. Again, if you're using the strap, elbows wide. Take an inhale, straighten the spine, slight tuck of the chin. As you exhale, use the hips. So that plank that I attached to your spine earlier, it's still there. So stop looking at the screen and start to just think about those alignments. What's happening to the foot? Is your quad engaged? Okay, is the front of that thigh engaged? Are your shoulders creeping forwards? If they are, pull them back. Is your upper back straight? Is your chin jutting forwards, and are you creasing the back of the neck? You can always feel the back of the neck. If there's a hinge, tuck the chin until it's nice and smooth. Nice. Slowly rise back up. And we're just going to switch. So opposite leg comes out. Again, if your hip's quite tight, just bolster it with a block. Flex the toe, turn the torso. Okay, so you're now facing your right leg. Hands either on the thigh or grab that strap. Elbows out nice and wide, fingers soft. And then squeeze the hip flexors and start to come forwards. Close your eyes. Don't look at the screen. Feel into it. Growing through the crown of the head. Toe is drawing towards the face. Front of right thigh is engaging. Shoulders aren't creeping forward so that you're concaving the front of the chest. Every exhale, just squeezing in those hips, trying to come further forwards. Good, and then rising back up. So we're going to come into our seated wide-legged forward fold. So I like to turn to face the side of my mat. If you are on a block, stay on a block. Legs out to the side, okay? If you want more, you can grab the legs and pull them, or option, drive the heels down, one hand in front, one hand behind, lift the bum and push yourself forward. So you'll get more of a stretch. That might be too much for you. Now, if you feel like you're rolling backwards, hands behind you, work on straightening the spine. The hinge, the movement is coming from the hips. Flex the heels, so both toes are coming towards the face, and then just squeeze the hips, keep the chin slightly tucked, avoid the shoulders coming forward. So if you are really tight, hands behind you, if you're less tight, hands in front, you're hinging from those hips. Again, if you're very flexible, maybe you can reach for those toes, maybe you just reach for the sides of the legs. I always talk about the butt in this pose. It's like a conveyor belt. You're sitting on a conveyor belt. You want to feel your butt cheeks traveling back and your hips coming forwards. This is a deep anterior tilt, so you're folding forwards in the hips. And it's the hips that are taking us into the stretch. Nice slow exhales. Again, don't worry if you're up quite high. There's a lot happening here. Good. Slowly make your way back up. Hands come under the knees. Bend the knees slightly. Give them a little shake. And from here, bringing your bum onto the floor. So getting rid of your block. We're going to do one more little hamstring strengthener before we come into our relaxation. So I know that this can be a challenging pose for a lot of people. We're going to do lifting up into reverse tabletop. So feet hip distance apart, and take your hands behind your bum, facing the bum. Hands might not rotate that much, they can come out to the side slightly, but we're aiming to get them towards the bum. Now press all 10 toes down. Watch me first. What you're going to do is press into the heels, squeeze the butt, and lift. Now you might only come this high, that's okay. As we lift, we're squeezing the butt and we're pushing into the heels, which activates the hamstring. Then we lower back down. And as you lower, just release, let the chin tuck. Okay, so setting up. Again, try not to look at the screen, because if I'm looking at the screen right now, my neck is in like a really not nice place. So look forwards. So you're looking in the same direction kind of that the toes are going. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, press down through the heels, squeeze the bum and lift. Nice. Lower back down. Let the chest concave, let the chin drop. Good. I'm not going to do it so you're not tempted to look at me. You're going to do 5. So as you exhale, lift, squeeze, push into the heels. And then gently lower down. Let everything release. Good. Do 4 more. You want to use the exhale to lift, because this is the breath where we squeeze the muscles. Don't worry about what breath you lower on. Just use your exhale to lift. So 3 more. Maybe even staying in that reverse tabletop for a breath if that feels good. This is a lot of booty strength. It's a lot of hamstring strength. If this is difficult, it's a real indication of weakness in the glutes and the hamstrings. Doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. And on your last one, when you lower down, you're just going to take your hands around your knees. Lengthen the spine, and maybe round the back. Nice. Hands come onto the floor. And just slowly start to lower yourself all the way down onto your belly. Bring your arms into cactus. This is where we bend the elbows, palms face up. And then just lift your feet off the floor. And we're just going to come into a really nice supine twist. So knees are going to drop to the right. The more intense the twist is, the higher the knees are. If that's too much, lower the knees down. You're trying to keep that left shoulder down. And once the left shoulder is down, let the left ear soften to the left shoulder. Use the exhale to pull the left hip over to the right. Just breathing nice and deeply. And again, we're going to use adduction. So squeeze the thighs together, keep them together as one unit. Bring the knees back up. And then slowly dropping those knees, this time all the way over to the left. Again, playing with the knees. So we're aiming to get the knees in line with the belly button. Let the right ear soften to the right shoulder. Maybe gently letting right hip sneak over to the left. And then squeezing those knees back to center. We're going to start to extend the legs, finding our Shavasana this morning. Arms down by the sides, palms face up. If you can, tuck the shoulders underneath you to open up the chest. If you feel any pulling in the lower back, just bend the knees, place the feet onto the floor. Close the eyes. Just let the weight of the body be held by the mat, by the floor. Using our Shavasana to download and store all of the hard work we've done. Then begin to invite some deeper breaths back into the body. Inviting little bits of movement in the fingers and in the toes. And just taking a nice big stretch. So maybe extending the legs out in front of you, bringing the arms over the head. Take a nice big inhale, reach, 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 reach. And then as you exhale, rolling over onto the left or right hand side, letting the body stack. And then when you're ready, just gently pushing the floor away and coming into a seated position. Legs crossed, hands resting on the knees. You need to pop a block, something under the bum. And just taking a moment here, growing the crown of the head up towards the sky. Noticing perhaps if you're feeling any longer in the spine, any softer in the hips, any more open in the shoulders. Take a big inhale, our arms come high above our head, and as our palms come to touch, we seal our practice with gratitude. Thumbs dropping to the space between the brow for kindness and thoughts, to the lips for kindness and words, and then to the heart center for you to carry kindness, compassion, and action through the rest of your day. Open the eyes. Well done, guys. Namaste. Whew. Awesome. Well, hopefully you're going to be feeling nice and long in the hamstrings. This helps a lot with lower back pain as well. How did we get on?
Could certainly feel it in my hamstrings. All the moves where you have to bend your body over,
Yeah.
there was very little movement in my upper body, but I could still feel it in the backs of my legs. So
yeah, that's it. And like I said before, you're gonna be probably one of the most tight in the hamstrings, and that's just because you're the tallest. And that's just the reality. But again, just remember sensation over destination. It's the most important thing.
Yeah.
You survived, Pete?
Yeah, I did. It's just behind my knees is terrible, you know. It's like I don't know how to loosen it really, but that's where I really feel it.
It's where I feel it the most as well. Don't go to a point where you're like,